Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another episode of the Tigers Baseball Podcast. I'm your host, Chris Schulte, and we're going to get into it today. It's All-Star Week. You wouldn't know it based on the Tigers' schedule this week, but that's something we'll discuss later. We're not even going to bother with the injury report this week because there's a lot of draft things to talk about, and so we're going to go ahead and get right into that. The Tigers had the number 12 overall pick in the draft this year. They traded their 73rd overall pick to Tampa for Austin Meadows. The number 73 pick going back to Tampa with Isaac Paredes. And so Detroit did not. That was a competitive balance pick, so that wasn't that. That's something that Tampa benefited from. I want to talk about Jace Young because he's well, first of all, let's just talk about the draft in general. It was 20 rounds instead of 40. Now, up until 2020, it was 40 rounds in 2019, and before that, 2020, of course, it was only 5 rounds. Last year, it was only 10 because of COVID. And then, of course, when the MLB and the Players Association had their negotiations this year for the new collective bargaining agreement, they shortened the draft to 20 rounds. So Detroit drafted as Detroit drafts. Okay? They picked 2 shortstops, 3 outfielders, 1 first baseman, 1 third baseman, 1 second baseman. And the other draft picks were all pitchers. I didn't see any catching help in here. I didn't see a lot in the way of infield and outfield help. I mean, the outfielders, Seth Stevens is impressive. You steal over 25 bases in college in a 56-game season. That's impressive. Peyton Graham, same way. 30 stolen bases out of 36 attempts. So that's impressive. The first baseman that they got is an athlete more than a first baseman, just based on what Scott Place was saying about him. Peyton Graham, shortstop out of Oklahoma. Trevin Michael is another pick out of Oklahoma that I'm impressed with. But let's go ahead and talk about the draft from a standpoint of, is this Al Avila's last desperate option? And what I mean by that is, okay, college players, generally speaking, don't stay in single A and high A ball for very long. They usually, Spencer Torkelson started out in high A. Dylan Dingler started out in high A. Okay, Trey Cruz started out in high A. Now Cole Keith, who was a high school player, started out in rookie ball. Riley Green started out in rookie ball. Jackson Jobe, rookie ball. So you look at people like Ty Madden, who Detroit drafted number 32 overall last year. He's already in Double-A. Detroit keeps getting starting pitchers hurt. He might make it into the majors before the end of the year. But I digress. So look at it from the standpoint of what Detroit did in the draft this year. They didn't stay away from the pitching. They got Troy Melton from San Diego State, Jake Miller from Valparaiso, Trevin Michael from Oklahoma. And they did good. They picked some what looked to be pretty talented pitching. But what they didn't do this year, that they did in 2020, that they did last year, that they did in 2019, They didn't take a high school player at all during this entire draft. All 20 rounds, they went with college players. Now, this year's draft is a little weird because of COVID, you had more fifth-year seniors coming into the college draft than you do in a normal year, because these guys were given an extra year of eligibility because they lost a year because of COVID. So colleges gave them an extra year. And so a lot of these guys that would have been taken as juniors in 2020 are now being taken, like last year they were taken. And because of the fact that the draft was so short last year, some of these other players got extra years, and so they were able to get drafted this year. Now, the guy that I wanted the Tigers to get, I'm not surprised he didn't fall all the way to number 12. Cade Horton was actually a sophomore, but because of his birthday, he's able to get drafted. So now Detroit picks Jace Young at number 12, and Jace's brother Josh is a Texas prospect. Jace Young is from Texas Tech. Second baseman, left-handed, can hit a little bit, but what I like about Jace Young, he walks more than he strikes out. And you look at the other guys that Detroit got. Peyton Graham doesn't necessarily walk more than he strikes out, but he doesn't strike out a lot more than he walks. So you get a guy who, in Peyton Graham, whose on-base percentage was .950. The other shortstop that Detroit drafted from North Carolina is a switch hitter. He's got a 1.004 OPS. Now, he struck out 32 times this year, but he brought his walks up to 24. When you're pretty much walking as much as you strike out, I can deal with that. I can live with that. Because it's very rare that you're going to see a guy in the majors that strikes out 100 times and walks 100 times. But these guys who are about middle of the pack as far as about 50-50 walk to strikeout, when they get up to the major leagues, they're actually better hitters. They actually are more patient. Their walk numbers actually go up because the strike zone is different. And they can, well, there's all sorts of other reasons. There are people that'll say that they can see the ball better. There's people that'll say pitchers have better control. It just depends on who you ask. But a lot of times these hitters who walk right about the same amount as they strike out end up walking more in the majors than they do striking out, and I can deal with that. Some of you loyal listeners might remember the podcast that I had about a month ago where I was talking about how Detroit strikes out so much more than they walk and how this is permeating the entire system of the Tigers' development and their farm system. This sort of counteracts that. This sort of counterbalances that. Because a lot of what I've seen, these guys are guys that strike out about as much as they walk, if not less. So, people will sit there and go, oh, 24 walks and 32 strikeouts. Well, that's not good. Well, let's think about this. 56-game season. College game, so figure you get at least three at-bats a game. So that's, if you go with an average of 3 at-bats a game, my quick math says that's 168 at-bats. You strike out 32 times in 168 plate appearances, and 24 of those other 164 appearances, you draw a walk. I can live with that. I can live with that. If the Tigers hitters struck out 32 times in 168 total at-bats for everybody, we'd be talking about a different baseball team right now. I will take that. especially when you throw in 24 walks. It tells me that you're a contact hitter, but you swing at quality strikes. I can live with that. So, as I was saying earlier, I wonder if this is Al Avila's last-ditch effort to put a winner on the field soon. I'm wondering if Chris Ilitch is sitting there going, Al, this team was supposed to contend this year. This team was supposed to, if not contend for a wild card, not necessarily contend for a division, but be in the wild card race until, mid-September. And they're not going to do that. You don't think Al Avila's feeling some pressure? I do. I most certainly do. So there you go. What to know about Trevin Michael? He had 8 saves. Sorry, he made 32 appearances. Didn't have that many saves. He's a closer from Oklahoma. Look, I liked what I saw from Trevin Michael in the College World Series on the biggest stage. He seemed calm, cool, and collected. Don't let the save numbers mislead you. Because in college, they use their closers differently than they use them in the pros. This guy got 2 starts this year. Did Trevin Michael. So out of his 32 appearances, 2 of them were starts. The other 30 were relief appearances. But in the college game, because it can get away from you so quickly, they'll bring the closer in the 4th or 5th inning to try to shut off a rally. And they clearly did that because his ERA was right around 3.80. So that'll be a nice change. A lot of superlatives about Peyton Graham: 20 home run power, 30 stolen bases, and 36 attempts. He's a little skinny. He's only 6'4", 171, so he's a bit skinny. But he'll have a chance to fill out. And what I like about him is he doesn't give away at bats. He's very good defensively. And he plays hard all day, every day. He doesn't, when I say he doesn't give up at bats, he's not going to jog a ground ball out to first base. If he hits a slow chopper to second, he's not going to just kind of be like, it's the end of the inning. I might as well not worry about it. He's not going to dog it. He's not going to jog down the first base line. He's going to go full speed. And his speed is pretty impressive when you consider 30 steals and 36 attempts. We mentioned Seth Stevens. He's an outfielder from Tennessee who converted from first base. He's lightning quick. So I'm not going to go through the entire draft. If you want to go through it, go to Tigers.com, sign in, and click on Draft Tracker. You can see who went there, who went where. You can see where your favorite players are. If you're a Michigan fan, you can see if anybody from Michigan got drafted. If you're an Oklahoma Sooners fan, you can see where Trevin Michael and Peyton Graham are going to be hanging out when spring training rolls around. Well, when summer ball rookie ball rolls around this summer. Now, where these guys will be, I don't anticipate them being in rookie ball for very long, but to be fair, Gage Workman is still at low A. He might be up to West Michigan by now, but it took him a while to get there. All of last year and most of this. So, I want to make a point. Spencer Torkelson earlier this week in team news was sent down to Toledo. He only hit 197 when he was up here with 5 homers. Basically, AJ Hinch just says he's got to get his swing right and he's got to clear his head. And once he does that, he'll come back. So AJ still has faith in him. The Tigers brass still have faith in him. So I still have faith in him. So that's the other quick bit of news here from our Windsor studios. So I'm not going to discuss the Cleveland series. I'm not going to discuss Kansas City. I'm going to do it on Sunday because we got a split doubleheader tomorrow against Oakland, and then we come home to Minnesota. Tell me that is just absolutely... just that makes sense. No, it doesn't. We get a Friday off, and then we come in on Saturday and we got the Twins for 2. It's just nuts. But hopefully our divisional record will improve after that, because Lord knows it could use it. Our road record is just not good. So, and we never win in Oakland, so I'm not expecting much from tomorrow. With that, I want to say thank you to all of you for listening. I want to thank YouTube. I want to thank Anchor for the distribution of the podcast. Subscribe, rate, and review, all of those fun things. Check us out on our YouTube channel. If I get to 100 subscribers, I can use a custom URL. That'll be great. With that, I will talk to you guys on Sunday. Thank you so much for listening. I'm Chris Schulte, and go Tigers.